lunch. This is the beginning of the second half of the second day. This is the last day of the Cyberweek. Now, this is a hard spot, just giving a talk after lunch. In order to do it right, we had to bring someone very, very unique who can keep you up and awake. And you can understand that he's very unique by the fact that he doesn't care if I'm like presenting him or not presenting him. He's here, he's not here, he doesn't care. He's one of the most interesting people I know. And this is Ilan Graicer. He's a cybersecurity specialist. This is what you are, a specialist, a game designer, a maker, and wildlife photographer. Yeah, everything. There's so many other things I could have said about you. You don't need a microphone. You can do this.
No, I can.
So the stage
I wanted
is yours.
to do the talk about
Enjoy.
wildlife photography, but never mind. It's more interesting than cybersecurity. So, my name is Ilan, and we'll get the slides here in a second. They copied it from LinkedIn, so nobody actually knows what I do, even my parents. And the red team is a group of people. I think there's quite a few of them in the audience. Basically, we decided that we're going to volunteer and attack stuff, infrastructure and public sector in Israel to make it better, not just for fun. And we don't get paid for it. We don't publish about it. Almost nobody knows, and we drink a lot of whiskey. And so if you know the confidentiality, integrity, availability, that's quite nice, and this is what we do. It's a complete coincidence that it looks like something else. But at this talk, I wanted to talk about something else, like how cybersecurity is shit, and you should stop spending money on it. And I'll tell you why in a second. But I'm going to insult a few people in the audience. Don't feel bad. I'll try to insult everybody. If you don't find yourself, come to me later and, we'll talk about it. So, for the last few years, we did this conference, and every year there's more conferences, and there's a lot more money, and everybody's sharing information, and there's a huge amount of startups, especially in Israel, and a lot of researchers, and everything is growing, it's great, and there's a lot of buzzwords in the air, and every year there's a different buzzword. I know because before the conference we have to sit down and come up with a theme for this year. And results, disappointing. There's a hell of a lot more attacks. There's a huge amount more data loss. This year is like the vulnerabilities. Last year was incredible. This year we're going to do better than that. We're going to find a lot more. Malware is growing. And, if we've been working really hard for the last 5-6 years and everything is worse, then we're failing. And I think it's because we're not focusing on the right problem. I'll give an example. Web app vulnerabilities for the last, it's still SQL injection is #1. It's amazing. 15 years, still #1. Number 2 is the same. Number 3, 7 out of the top 10 are still the same. WannaCry, it's April last year or something like that. And then a month or 2 months ago, Boeing was hit by WannaCry. And this is a screenshot on the left from Shodan from last week. There's 1 million devices with SMB1 and no authentication. Of course, you can see a lot of them are the United Arab Emirates, which are not allowed to come to this conference, so I guess that's why. And I got my juice. Thank you. So if a year later, Boeing, which is a cyber company, had some computers by WannaCry, we have a problem. And it's not because attackers are getting more sophisticated, like everybody else was saying in the whole conference. Attackers are lazy. The last year attacks, most of them happened by using really simple attacks, really simple stuff. They're reusing stuff from before. And they're not getting smarter. And of course, we're doing the same thing. We'll keep doing it for the next years, and we'll wonder why we failed. That's why I think we don't have a cybersecurity problem. What we have is an IT problem. And we just gave up a bit. Whenever the team goes somewhere to check, whenever I run a scan on any organization, I find 10 or 20% more computers than the CIO knows that they have. And it's not just computer, it's also software. Every time we run a scan, we find everything else. Everybody in the organization is using remote desktop from home or whatever. Nobody has any control over the IT whatsoever. And just by example, how many IT people are in this room? Not security people, IT people. Okay, that's seriously. They have their own conferences. That's part of the problem. We're spending money on cybersecurity. We're not teaching the IT people. The other thing is we have an OS problem. Now, I'm not going to name the OS. We don't want to do any. Also, they have a booth upstairs. They're looking for people. But we got to the point where there's something called a Patch Tuesday. So that's just next year is going to be patch afternoon and then patch morning, and then we'll have patches every hour. It's like every hour, 30 seconds. And we also have a software problem because I wrote, just for fun, not maliciously, a Word microvirus 20 years ago. And it's still number 2 on the exploits list. That's just not supposed to happen. And the usual, we have a people problem. So you can see on the right side, this is the TSA computer at the airport. And the passwords, and it's not just the passwords, nobody cares. Wherever we go to organization, people keep putting USB sticks in, they keep doing whatever they want. We can't teach them what to do, and that's our real problems. So if this is true, what the hell is everybody doing for the past few years? So let's talk about Israel. There's been a lot of talk about Israel as cyber nation, how I can tell you that Israelis don't think we're that good. I'm sorry to say it, I'm ruining it for everybody who came from abroad to learn from Israel. We're not that good. We're a bit better. We're not smarter. The main reason we're good is because we don't have a choice. Israel is attacked continuously. I don't have to convince anybody that I'm going to talk to that Israel is under attack. As opposed to Europeans, we keep telling me that their CEOs or their government don't understand that. Everybody knows we're under attack. Everybody knows. Also, we have complete disregard for any sorts of procedure or laws. Or just the fact that they're letting us hack without any supervision whatsoever, we can't do it in any other country. But if something happens to a bank, the guy calls his friend from the army and they come at night and they'll work over the bank. That's the way we do things. That's one of the only reasons we're so advanced. It's getting better, but much slower than you think. Now, startups, we have a huge problems, and every startup has a Band-Aid on one small problem, and that's what they're trying to do. And then they try to tell you that it's the end of all. And then we have people, industry, ecosystem members who make predictions of what's the next great technology is going to solve the world problem. They make either really boring, simple predictions or wrong ones. And then every year they do it again, and if you're not a cool vendor by somebody who I can't name, although they're not sponsoring it, so I can talk shit about them. Okay, so it's Gartner. And if you're not a cool vendor from Gartner, you're not going to get money from the VCs, which are also part of the problem, and you're not going to sell your product. And if this year is not your year, then you're done, and your technology goes to shit. And if we're talking about products, then we have cybersecurity vendors. If I was researching stuff before the talk, and when I was talking to friends, and every product vendor that has a product can show you that the problem he's solving is the worst problem. If you just solve this problem, you can take out any other cybersecurity product, it's going to be great. And if he has products for all attacks, then the world is shit and you have to buy all of his stuff. There's no way to get along without buying everything. And the governments, everybody's talking about how it's important and they're staying on stage here and I'm standing here and I'm saying that. And the governments say that they think it's a bad thing. Well, in Israel we know, so, I can talk. I don't want to go to jail. But, the prime minister and everybody, they know, but that's Israel. But other countries, I keep hearing the same thing again and again. We know it's true, but until something catastrophic happens, nobody's going to give a shit. We have other problems, unemployment and immigration, and I don't know. It's not on the radar, maybe in 3-4 years. I was actually asked a few times if the team cannot, do some simulated catastrophic event to get their governments going. Sorry, I have to stop for a second here. If you missed it, I gave a cyber and whiskey talk 2 days ago. Anyway, back to the slide. So the governments are not moving any faster either. And now, security researchers, which a lot of my friends in the room say, I'm not good enough to be a security researcher. But there's been an arms race for the last 3 or 4 years. To be a good security researcher, to promote your company or your service, you have to find an exploit and put the POC on GitHub and release it. And now, I'm barely a script kiddie, I'm not even a hacker. And now I'm a copy-paste kiddie. I just go, I look for the exploit, I go to GitHub, I copy-paste it into Metasploit, and I have a virus. That's how easy they make it for us. So they're going a good thing, but it turned out that you can weaponize this also. And buzzwords. Blockchain is shit. I love the concept, I love cryptocurrencies, never mind why. But if you think you're gonna put a blockchain in your organization, the only thing it's gonna do is move your stock price up. And if I'm already talking about it, there's a blockchain conference here in 2 hours. And Jacob, who's also a Red Team member, is running it. So ask him why I'm right. But you don't really need, there's nothing to do with it. And let's not forget the Red Teams. It's a buzzword the same over the past couple of years. I've been asked a lot to talk to people in Europe and whatever. And Red Teams used to prove to organizations that their security sucks. But everybody here in the room is here because security sucks. So most of the reason is out. The only thing a Red Team will actually help you is to say which area or what to fix first. That's the only thing. It's not like if you have a Red Team, you're good. Now, the thing, this thing still works. Train still works. Airplanes mostly work. Well, trains in Israel don't really work, but never mind. I'm just saying that everything is fine. So why does it matter? Because we're going into an area, it's not a step up all the connected world. It's going to be a cliff. The same way that iPhone is only 11 years old. And nobody can imagine, I know kids, my nephews can't even, like, what were you doing before that? It's like with the smoke, whatever. But so in 3 or 4 years, there's going to be a cliff, and immediately later, we're going to be in a new world. And at that world, what happens is that everybody who does something is building on the work of everybody underneath. And right now, that's exactly what we're building. We know that it's shit, and we still put the stuff, like for example, the new airplanes are going to have software updates over the air. Which, it sounds, well, here everybody realizes it's not a good thing, but for them it sounds like a great thing. And, okay, so I was told to say something positive, which I'm not known for. So the thing is, really stop spending money on cybersecurity and go back to base. Just install the stuff properly, go computer by computer. All the buzzwords for this are actually read the manuals. This is a made-up holiday that I just invented 2 hours ago. But I really think if my bank would tell me that 2 Mondays from now, they're going to shut down everything and just deal with security and IT, I wouldn't mind. For me, it'll be great. So just, if you're a car manufacturer, stop making cars for 1 week. Stop making airplanes, stop making stuff. Just go computer by computer and fix all this stuff. There's stuff to help you. And also, stop buying shit from cybersecurity companies. How many people I'm insulting right now? How many people are from cybersecurity companies? Nobody's there to raise their hands. But we go to organizations, we found they have the right firewall, they have IDS, they have all this stuff, they just haven't turned it on. Because they don't have the right manpower, the right time, it's a downtime. Somebody told me that they're not taking down any system because they're not sure they can get it up again. It's working, it's running Windows 2003 server on a Pentium 3. They have other Pentium 3s next to it because you can't get them right now, so they bought a few more. That's all they can do. Use the stuff you have. And I have no way how to do it, but I never worked in a corporation, but I was told that the whole idea of the corporation is so you can tell people what to do. You pay them. And it's not the way. I've met a lot of companies where they're afraid to tell the people not to put a USB stick in, or not to use a Dropbox, or not to have their kids play on Flash while they're in the bathroom. So I can't tell you how to do it, but the only way I know how to check is if you drop a bunch of these outside the office, and 10 minutes later, you can see it, you failed. You can see it on the network. That's all I can say. And just so that's it. So stop doing cybersecurity. Well, I can't tell you those people in this room, but in general, I say do less cybersecurity and just get the stuff you have running in the right way. I was talking to people, to my friends about this talk because I was afraid people will take it the wrong way, and everybody told me I was right. So that scared me a bit more. If you want to talk to me, you can find me later. If you have a good question, I'll give you a red team sticker. If not, I'll give you a Band-Aid. Thank you very much.